Hey, Tim. How are you?
All right, how's it going?
Good. Good, good, good.
Where's everyone at?
They're hopping on. Hi, CJ.
Hi there.
How are you?
Good. I like the prominent microwave in the background. Hopefully it doesn't interfere with anything.
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. Yeah, this is my set.
Is that fabulous by design that it's perfectly over your shoulder? Yes.
Yes, absolutely. And all the pink, I've got my branding here.
A lot of people looking forward to them. I'm actually just about writing an announcement of this right now to go on social media.
Okay, perfect. I just sent everybody an email as well with the link, letting people know that we're starting. So people should be hopping on.
Let's wait a few minutes. I'm pouring my drink.
Absolutely.
I feel we didn't give enough instructions about the drinking.
I've got a few cups sitting here.
I have mine. In case you're wondering, this is Diet Dr. Pepper, though.
Well, I'm drinking water, so even less exciting.
Oh, man. All right. I was hoping for more alcohol, but I've had a long day. I need caffeine.
You know what? I just drank my third cup of coffee before the call, so.
Oh, then
Yeah.
it should go fast.
Yeah, no, this was definitely a day where I needed a little extra boost. I had another event earlier today. So how's the week going? How are the events going?
Oh, great. It's a lot of variety, a lot of great stuff for the entrepreneurs. Unfortunately, since some of them are simultaneous, I can't attend them all. And I've got other duties in between for Global Entrepreneurship Week. But we have somebody recording most of them and also writing postmortem, so that we're going to put this up on the website next week so that folks can I'm not sure how enjoyable it is to watch people do virtual happy hour, but we'll put that up too. We'll have all that up on the website next week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you never know. I know sometimes people ask me too for the recording, and I'm like, well, it's a networking event. I'm not sure, that you'll get much out of it, but sure. So.
I can see several opportunistic people watching the recording and taking notes and emails. I don't know if when we record this, we'll get the chat where people exchange information. That's new to me. I know that we have, I don't know if you're recording this now or if we will do it, but I have somebody hopping in who has a different way of recording each one.
Mm-hmm. I am recording it. Yeah. But yeah, that's fine.
And I'm actually hoping maybe during this session to get you to talk about how you put these events on, because I think it's very interesting, and you're obviously a very seasoned. When I say seasoned, I mean seasoned with the online networking events. Pro at this. Most people putting on the events are struggling a little bit with the Zoom host functionality.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I have been using Zoom for quite a while. That's true. I think I got a 2-year head start on people, not by design, but
2 years?
2 years. Yes. I've been running virtual.
Not on Zoom. How long has Zoom been around? Not 2 years.
Yeah. Zoom's been around for a while. I've been using Zoom for about 2 years.
Wow. Yeah, I was using it a couple years ago too, and you'd have to always explain it to everybody, how it works. And now everybody uses it. So,
I thought Zoom popped up the same day the pandemic started.
For most people, it did, but yeah, no, Zoom's actually been around for a while, and I switched to it. There were a few companies on the running. There was Zoom, there was Join.me. I want to say there was maybe another one. And back when we were all switching from running webinars virtually, and there wasn't an ideal platform for small businesses, because I think everybody was using was it Cisco's product, maybe WebEx or
WebEx, yeah.
yeah, one of those. And they were super expensive. Like the small business owner wasn't like able to, it just didn't make any sense. And so we were all using different platforms, and there was Webinar Jam came online. And then there was another, so I was using this other one, I don't remember the name. And somehow it all filtered out that it came down, I think, to Zoom and Join.me. And those were the two I was going back and forth. And this was maybe even 4 or 5 years ago. And Zoom started to become more popular. And I think it's because they allow you to record even on their free version. So all of a sudden it became really easy to create videos even on their free version. It cuts you off at 45 minutes if you're on the free version. So I kept using Zoom, and I've been using it for about 2 years to run my online courses.
Okay, well, from a non-host perspective, and I'm looking at Zoom as actually a case study for product, et cetera. But, from a non-host perspective, I've actually seen from the beginning of the year several holdovers from, corporate who use WebEx, Microsoft, and then seeing Google try to get in at the last minute by putting Meet on their Gmail. If you notice on the bottom, they're trying to force you, even trick you to use it. But from your perspective, Zoom is just a no-brainer to use. You're looking at it from the host perspective. But if one of the other monthly networking events that's done by Eric Miller of the AZ Tech Council. He does these monthly ones, and he started using WebEx in the beginning, and then went to Microsoft Microsoft Meetings, I think they call it too. And for most of us who are already used to using Zoom, we all complained so hard that after 2 months, he had to switch over to Zoom. From these Microsoft products. Zoom does not really require you to go through this heavy registration and so they got it right. And it's a great case study of just simplicity, being direct and knowing exactly what features to offer for free.
Right.
Love it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, the thing that Zoom did right was initially from the get-go, they built their platform to allow it to scale.
And now they're doing something that may prove to be their Apple Store moment, which is now they've got plugins, or I don't know what they call it, maybe add-ons or so. But coming soon, you'll be able to go to a little store and add on little features to it. They've already have some beta for these features right now, but boy, there's a whole new world of adding extra functionality to this video.
Yeah.
Got excited by seeing someone who's not me.
No. Well, yeah, my friend Bella just joined, and look, she's wearing a pink shirt to represent my brand. So I'm extra excited. See, look, you match my fabulous sign. And Bella, you're on mute.
Hi. Yeah, usually I'm the host, so I'm never on mute.
I know. That's usually
yes,
how
I
feel.
planned that just for you and your brand. How was everybody?
We're good. We're just kind of chit-chatting right now while people signed on. We're talking about Zoom's functionalities and just how they just kind of took over. And I was letting CJ know that I've been using Zoom for about 2 years now. How long have you been using it?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But I do think that eventually we're going to be kind of like, oh, remember when we used to have Zoom and it was just these little boxes? Because everything's going to be more virtual reality. And there's already some amazing platforms for conferences and meeting that are coming out that are just smoking Zoom. But for now, it's good. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I think somebody tried to show me a different platform. It was like a startup-y thing, and it was a lot more interactive. And I was like, okay, I get it. Yeah. But I was like, I actually really like the simplicity of Zoom.
What would be more interactive? I'm curious, what features would make it more interactive?
There's like places where you literally can like bump into people. Let me find the name of it. I was learning about it the other day, and there's been some conferences. I don't pay attention to the names, but there's been some conferences because I'm also a speaker. where it's Inbound did a really good job of it, Inbound Boston last month, where there's just so many different elements to it other than like these rooms and these squares.
There's a new one. We're talking about more event management platform as opposed to just straight video. That's the dilemma that Zoom is going to have, is that there's a point at which people want to use this for more sophisticated methods, and if they add a lot of features, that may ruin what made them very successful.
Yeah, totally. And I kind of feel like it's people are using Zoom for what it's not meant to be sometimes too. So like when I see people take Zoom and stream it to like Facebook, I cringe, because there's things like StreamYard and Restream.io and all that stuff that's meant for that. Like Zoom is just so ugly. Like you can't brand it. You can't have like a bunch of different people come in and out and like put comments up on the air, or use OBM with it. You know, it's very limited. It's literally, it's a conference room. Zoom is a conference room. And I think oftentimes people try to make it more than what it is. That's my 2 cents at least.
You're speaking like an experienced host. However, one of the advantages of Zoom is you can just tell people it's on Zoom and almost nobody will complain. Whereas if you say any other platform, there's going to be people who are going to have trouble logging on, and you're going to have to delay and all that.
Sure.
Zoom never been an issue.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's great for when you're meeting with people like this, but when you're using it to stream live and to, you know, syndicate on many different channels. Like that's a lot of what I do. Like I syndicate on like 5 to 7 places when we go live, and we have all the branding and we have videos we can pop in and we can still share screen and all kinds of fun stuff. But if it's just for this, yeah, absolutely. Everyone knows Zoom. I wish they would take this waiting room off though. It's either waiting room or the number to get in. And I hate that. I wish people could just come in. Because as a host, there's a lot to do, and having to admit people on top of it is just hard.
Yeah, I agree. That is a very annoying feature that they just added. So
have you used? There's one. I went blank on what the name is, but I've been on a few events where it's set up. You like bounce around table to table, and it works a lot better. Like if you're on a Zoom and you've got a small group, it works fine. But if you've got 50 or 100 people, Zoom doesn't work very well. So on that, it's more like, you know, being virtually like in an actual room where you can just, okay, you can see the 5 people that are at this table or the 5 people that are at this table, and you can kind of bounce around and work the room the way you would at an in-person networking event. And it's also, it just works better for having presentations and kind of multiple things going on all at once. I don't know why, I can't remember what it's called, but it's definitely a lot more to it than Zoom.
Are you thinking of Hopin? Okay, so that's
the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Hopin. And they just actually got $125 million raised for it too. Like it was I think they started it. It was by a guy who couldn't go to conferences like a year or 2 before the pandemic. And then as the pandemic hit, he already had the software ready to go, and they're actually, I think, going public soon. I was listening to it on a podcast.
I don't know how much they cost, but I was suspicious from the very beginning with any platform that when you click on pricing, it just says, call us. At least when I looked at it, they were sort of hiding the pricing aspect of it. And
yeah.
You didn't have a free tier for hosts.
Yeah.
So
I think that's kind of good too, though, because then it also it could go both ways. 1, it could be very untrustworthy, right? Or 2, it could be, well, tell us more about, there's so many different types of people I could see using it that it's not like so cookie cutter. And so it could give you, I don't know, I guess it could go both ways maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Hopin. HOPIN, online virtual venue for virtual events.
Yeah.
So Gail, how's it going? I haven't joined you on any of your things. I'm so proud of what you've been doing. It's awesome. Are you guys all from Arizona?
I think so. Yeah, I think so this particular happy hour event is for the Global Entrepreneurship Week. And this is the Arizona chapter. So CJ is overseeing the entire conference, right, for the whole week, which is so they're having events daily, virtual events. And we're doing the networking portion of it. So We had over 20 people register, but you know how it goes with these events. Not, you know, they register, but they don't all show up. So we've got a few. I see Josh, I see Tim, I see Brian, I see James, I see Juan. So that's kind of who's here right now. So and we're all supposed to be drinking some type of a beverage because it's happy hour. I'm drinking water. I already had my 3rd cup of coffee for the day. Is that a shake or water?
It's like it's like a shake. What's left of a shake.
Oh, my bad. I forgot to get my drink. 1 second. I'll be back.
All good, Josh. Yeah, that looked like he was walking away with a thing of brandy. Wait, was that Brian?
I've got the empty Starbucks still, but
I just threw mine out.
All right, we believe you. We believe you. Hi, James. Nice to see you.
Hey, how's it going? I have a really boring hydro flask with water in it, so there's that.
Water is good. You know, we're never going to complain. But actually, look, I have 2 things of water sitting by my desk, and I have a mug. So what I do is I pour the water in the pretty mug so that when I actually sip it, I'm not drinking out of the water bottle, but I keep replenishing it. So very cool. Okay, now Juan, what about you? What are you drinking today?
Also water.
All right. Christopher, I think you're the only one, or sorry, CJ, I'm like reading your name, but so it looks like you're the only one with a glass of wine.
Yeah, I have to change my profile name there. Well, I'm in a wine cellar, so.
Yeah, there you go. You're allowed.
It's not what, this is soda actually, but maybe in an hour I'll start with the alcohol.
As you guys can see, we're not shy from drinking for happy hour. It's a little empty.
You know, I've been in business a long time. I ask a lot of people because when I watch, I'm a big fan of Mad Men, and occasionally you see on TV, you know, somebody's in an office like the Blacklist, like when they're successful at something, he pulls out a bottle from the drawer and pours it. I have never in my life in business had bottles of alcohol in my office and offer somebody a drink. And I'm like, who does that? What? In fact, I had worked for Sun Microsystems for a number of years. And when I was leaving, my staff, my group was, you know, in my office kind of throwing a little party. And I opened my bottom drawer because I'm a big fan of coffee. So I have those syrups, you know, those bottles of syrups. So I pulled them out. I was giving them to people and they all went at the same time. Oh, syrup. They all thought I had bottles of scotch in my drawer and I was drinking that during the day, you know, for the past 4 years that they knew me. But the point is that I have not ever been to an office where they had bottles of alcohol in it just for any time.
You know, CJ, you should come over to our office. I mean, that is like that is a regular thing for us. We actually try to end work at 6 as much as possible.
Me, the luxury was having a coffee maker in the office.
Well, Costco alcohol. I'm not sure you guys. I don't know if you guys have the Costco card, but I have a Costco card. So the alcohol there is extremely cheap, very affordable. So I usually get all the stuff there and buy in bulk. So we just have it here stored. You know, fill up the decanter.
That's my number one criteria for alcohol is cheap.
Well, it's
typically that gives me a headache.
Which one gives you a headache?
Cheap alcohol.
Well, no, but at Costco, it's not cheap. It's inexpensive, but it's actually good brands.
It's high. Like, yeah, it's actually really high, quality. Yeah.
Their Kierland's vodka is actually comparable to like Kettle One and
yeah. It's not bad.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, I only know this because I had an alcoholic ex who, you know, when he would buy the bottles, like, I'm not kidding, but he would buy the bottles at Costco and pour them into the like Kettle One bottles.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, well, this way everybody will think that they're Kettle One. He's like, and they won't be able to tell the difference because they're pretty much the same, you know, top liquor. And I'm like, oh my God.
Thank God he's an ex.
Yes, definitely an ex.
At least he was frugal, you know.
Well, I mean, he bought so much of it, you know, he had to start somewhere.
Hey, Gally, can I do my little intro for Global?
Please.
Can I share a screen here?
Yes. Do you want to? Here, let me see. Share screen. Oops.
Give me control of the comm.
Yep. I'm looking to see where. it's not actually letting me give you. You know what? I think I'm gonna have to make you a host. Give me 1 second here. Okay. I just made you host, so you'll just have to give me back the rights. So now you should be able to share.
Interesting. Hold on. Here we go. Good. It's only take a minute, folks, but it's not just a pleasure, it's a contractual obligation. So this event is a really important part of Global Entrepreneurship Week. For those of you who haven't been privy to any of the social media tweets or anything that's been going on, Global Entrepreneurship Week has been going on all week, not just in Arizona, everywhere, in 170 different countries. How many knew there was 170 countries even out there? 170 countries, 9 million people right now, 35,000 different events all week. And this happens every year for the past 11 years. And it's all about entrepreneurship, small business, and the people that support them in the ecosystem, which means us. And I believe, I don't know, but this may be a first of its kind. And I think it's a great idea having these happy hour events. And we should have promoted it more, because I would love to see this in the entrepreneurial community, somewhere where we can all informally get together and get to know each other. Anyway, and so I do want to say that there's a couple of more events on Thursday and Friday coming up, and you can still sign up for them. They're all free. They're all about entrepreneurship and small business. Some of them celebrate our cities, like Mesa and Chandler are doing some as well. Quick shout out to some of our partners and sponsors, Commerce Authority, you know them all, I think. Startup Tucson, they're having a big event. I believe it's on Friday, might be wrong. Chandler Innovations, and of course our universities. And a quick shout out to one of our sponsors, which is Atomic Social. They're a fairly new company that's on the horizon here in Phoenix and in Arizona, doing web design and social media and SEO. And I'll paste their URL in the chat window if you want to check them out. But I do need to thank them because they're one of our important sponsors. And that is it. And at this point, this was the end of a day that we've had 4 or 5 different events all in one day. Unfortunately, some overlapping, but this is a perfect end of it to have the ubiquitous Jelly's networking event specifically tailored for the virtual happy hour. So thank you for doing this, and I will cede control back to our main host.
Awesome.
You.
All right. So did that, and I don't think I have to share my screen for anything. So I think we're good. Okay, perfect. Well, so yeah, thank you, CJ. And so we're here to talk about networking. We're actually here to do some networking, and because it's a smaller group, so we'll be able to have some more in-depth conversation, which is awesome. So let me tell all of you a little bit about myself, because I think there's only a few people here on the call that actually know me. Bella knows me, Tim knows me, CJ knows me. But again, just a little bit of a background on who I am and my entrepreneurial journey. So I went to ASU here, Arizona State University. I graduated in communications, and I thought that, my career was going to be in communications and marketing. That's what I've always gravitated towards. And my first job out of college, I was a publicist, PR, public relations. I did that for 2 years and 3 months before I started to lose my mind. I mean, I was already kind of going crazy. And by that time, the economy had gotten a little bit better, because I graduated post 9/11, so economy wasn't so great. So then the economy got a little better, and I thought it would be a great idea to get work for a big corporation, because it was going to look good on my resume and the typical job things. So I put my resume out on some site, I have no idea, and I got contacted by a recruiter from JP Morgan, and they were looking to hire somebody to do internal employee communications for this global team that they had, like all the backup stuff, the backup servers. And I was like, this is perfect. This is what I, always wanted, internal employee communications for JP Morgan. I mean, that was amazing on the resume. The salary was ridiculously high for, somebody my age. It was like 4 weeks paid vacation, just sounded amazing on paper. The first day I walked into the building, I literally felt like a piece of me had died. Like, it was so awful. It was dreadful. It was like, I was like, what did I just do? And I was like, but I was already committed, I was already committed. But it was the epitome of corporate, like the horror stories that you hear. Like that's the environment I walked into, just cutthroat, evil, mean, like people that would just do mean things to you just so you wouldn't, get ahead. Like it was just awful. And I am by nature not that kind of a person. Like I'm all about people. I mean, clearly, hence my business. So, I lasted there 2 years and 3 months. Okay, there's like this trend. But before I quit this job, what I realized is that I kept hating these jobs, and I didn't understand. I thought something was wrong with me, and then I realized I'm going to shorten the story here. But what I realized is I'm an entrepreneur, and no one ever guided me that way. When I was at ASU, they didn't really have such a robust entrepreneurial program. That wasn't my upbringing. But being an entrepreneur is a personality. And so, of course, it was very difficult for me to hold down these jobs because they were draining on my soul. I mean, like I had to answer to people that, to me, didn't understand common sense. I was thinking, how am I working for these people? I could do a much better job than them and make so much more money, right? Just like all the typical things that go through your head when you're an entrepreneur. And then I said to myself, well, Gelly, if you think you're so good, then, put your money where your mouth is, quit the career and go launch your own business. And I was like, whoa. Okay, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I didn't have a business idea. So I started networking to discover other opportunities and see what it is that, like, to get ideas from people. What do other people do for a living? And I remember one time coming across a woman at a networking event who told me that she is a pet and plant sitter. And I'm thinking, wait. You make your living watching other people's pets and their plants? And I didn't know that pet sitting was such a big industry. And see, guys, Bella's kind of chuckling there a little bit. She actually grew and successfully sold her pet business for 6 figures. So she's got a great story as well. But this is before I knew Bella. We've known each other for a while. And so I said to myself, if this woman can make a living watching other people's pets and plants, I can figure out how to make money networking. Because by this point, I fell in love with networking. Like if you put me in a room full of strangers, I want to get to know everybody. I want to know their story. I want to know who they are. I want to know everything. And I said to myself, great. So you like networking? Then how do you make money networking? But I didn't have an answer. I had no idea. So I kept going to networking events, kept the day job, kept going to events. And pretty soon, here's what happened. I identified a need in the market. The need in the market was the fact that all these people wanted to go to networking events. There's a really robust networking scene here in Phoenix. But if you wanted to know where events were happening, you had to know somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody. Okay, because you have to think, this is before Meetup. This is before Facebook. This is before LinkedIn. This wasn't before Google, but nobody really knew to Google networking events. Or if they did, like you still kind of had to know what you were Googling for, right? So what ended up happening was I was the walking, talking networking calendar when, as I was doing this. And this was in 2007. So what, like, was that 13, 14 years ago now? And I, at the time, I was married to a software engineer. Okay. And I remember coming home one evening and I said to him, hey, I have this great idea. Can you build me a website that has a calendar on it so I can list all the different networking events in town on this calendar? And this way, all these people that want to know where networking events are happening can go to our website. They can see the calendar. They can find the events. Okay, to give him credit, he is a brilliant software engineer. And he took my idea and he built out a platform that was way ahead of its time. Okay, we launched this almost 13 years ago on January 1st, 2008. And what we launched was an event-centric community building platform. So what do I mean by that? Anytime you can build a community around events, a centralized theme, that's what my software essentially does, right? So in the space that I'm in the networking space. So here in Phoenix, it's called networkingphoenix.com. We launched it January 1st, 2008. The economy crashed. I don't know if any of you remember January 1st, 2008, people got laid off. They all started Googling and they landed on my website. So overnight, we skyrocketed. Like everybody else's business was crashing. I couldn't keep up with mine. right? So we launched the website. Everybody was Googling and they were landing on the site because the homepage has a calendar that lists all the networking events. Now, if any of you are pulling up networkingphoenix.com right now, you are looking at something that was built 12 years ago. It is extremely outdated. Josh, I see your face. I could tell what you were doing by I was like, oh, he's looking at it. So here's the thing. It's actually in the process of being rebuilt. The software is, so sometime next year I'm going to have a new platform, but I'm also rebuilding the software in a way that I can scale it into different verticals, right? Because it's not just in the networking space that we can build communities around the events. So so there you go. So that's, in a nutshell, that's my idea. That's my little startup-y, well, not little startup-y. I mean, guys, it's been, oh my God, like I've poured my life into this. If I'm not sure what any of you do, you'll have a chance to tell me, but when you're a founder and it's your baby, it becomes your life. So I've been at this for 13, 14 years now. And now I'm in the phase where I'm rebuilding the software, and my goal is to relaunch it, scale it, right? All the great things that happen when you have software. So, but here in town, most people don't actually even realize that. Most people know me as, Gelly, who does networking and networking events, which is, of course, that was my first passion. That's how everything got started. Oh, I forgot to mention that this, my first, he's now my ex-husband, which means he's my ex co-founder. Okay. So there's the whole story there of where, when we ended up, splitting up, it was a personal divorce and it was a business divorce. And so I ended up taking over the company, obviously, because it's my baby, my vision. And so then I had to go and find a different technical team to do all the things, right? That's like a whole story in itself right there. But anyway, so there you go. So that's who I am. That's my entrepreneurial journey. And that's why I'm in the networking space, because this all started from the networking seedling, and here we are today. So having said that, the goal for us here today is to network. And so we're going to talk about networking, and we're going to get a chance to network. Typically when there's, 20, 30, 40, 50 people on these calls, I break everybody into smaller rooms and give them instructions, because there's not that many of us on the call. We're just all going to hang out in the main room, and we're all going to go through the exercise together. Okay. So the point of this networking exercise, what I'm going to walk you through, is let's talk about what does it actually mean to network. Most people have a really bad misconception of networking. They think I walk into an event and I'm just going to, talk about, like, people don't even know what to talk about. They're just very confused. Like, usually turns into a sales pitch or a sales conversation or anything other than networking. Most people turn networking into like some form of really bad promotions. Okay. It's very simple what networking is. You're looking to make friends. That's all it is. You're looking to make friends. You need to connect with people on that human level first. Know, like, and trust. No one's going to help you if they don't know you, like you, or trust you. Okay. So you've got to look at it from that perspective. You have to build this friendship first, this natural relationship, which is going to then stem into some kind of a professional relationship, because clearly you're both at a networking event. You're most likely some type of like-minded individuals. So the fact that all of you are participating in this Global Entrepreneurship Week, the hope is that you're actually going to meet like-minded individuals that are going to help you on your journey. The key about connecting with people personally is to somehow share a little bit about yourself. Okay. And in a networking environment, especially virtual networking environment, that could be a challenge. So I'm going to tell you what I do on my events. In my events, I do not allow people to talk about their business until they talk about the icebreaker. So I'm going to give you all a fun little icebreaker. We're all going to go around and answer these questions. And after that, we'll talk about, like, why are you networking? What do you need? Who can help you? Right? And that's one of the other things that people forget to talk about. They'll tell you about their business, but then they won't actually tell you who they need to meet. So enough of me talking. Let's actually get into this. I want to hear from some of you guys, and then we'll just kind of, prompt this along. So here's what I want to hear. We're going to go in order. I'm going to give you some, the first fun icebreaker is, there's a zombie apocalypse. Okay, it's coming. Which 3 people do you want on your team? Okay, so think about that. Zombie apocalypse, can't talk. Apocalypse is coming. Which 3 people do you want on your team and why? So let me explain to you why this icebreaker. Don't be afraid to show your personality, because if you say something that somebody else resonates with, you now automatically have this connection, right? And remember, we're going for this human connection. So for the moment, your business is not relevant. We need to talk about more of this personality stuff. Okay, so who wants to go first? Who wants to answer this first? Oh, and Josh has a question. Does it have to be people we know or famous? It could be famous people.
But it has to be an actual person we know?
No, I mean, it could be persona.
Okay, then I'll go first.
Okay.
I only need one person. And that's a zombie exterminator. So the apocalypse is now gone in my life and we're back to normal.
I like it.
Delegation. Take care of it. Is that fair? Is that a fair enough answer?
Yeah.
It's 2 other people, right? We can choose up to 2 other people.
Yeah, 3. You could choose 3 people,
Oh,
so it'll be 4 of you total. Yeah.
All right, one second. I'm going to think about this.
Well, I'm gonna say The Rock, Will Smith, and Scarlett Johansson.
And Scarlett Johansson?
Yeah, why not? She's the Black Widow.
You're right. You're right. Oh, I love that.
You can't choose Scarlett Johansson because she's with me.
Who else, CJ?
Oh, I was thinking Brad Pitt, but not for the reasons that, for the same reasons as Scarlett Johansson. I don't know much about zombies, and I tend to stay away from that subject in movies, but I did see World War Z, so he knows what he's doing, so I figured I'd have him with me. And then I guess just for fun, Jennifer Aniston, just to mix it up.
That's awesome.
I know it doesn't tell you that much about me.
Well, it doesn't not.
Okay, I got my 3. I got my 3. Okay, so Jocko Willink, Barack Obama, and that guy from Survivor Man. I forgot the actor, whatever the guy's name, Survivor Man. I'm not sure if you guys seen that old show. It was on like, basically they threw this guy in a week out in the wilderness somewhere in the world, and he had to survive, and he had to film himself. So those 3 people probably.
Oh my God.
Wait, why Barack Obama?
Because I think that, because like, okay, so just like, bear with me. In a zombie apocalypse, right, the world's going to shit, right? So I think that the best way to go, you need to get allies as soon as possible, because, the more people you have, the better, the more you can, like, have some sort of military tactics, the more you can fight the zombies, the more people you can build shelter, right? So Jocko Willink, if you guys don't know him, he's like this ex-Navy SEAL officer. He writes the book called Extreme Ownership, right? Great book, by the way. Awesome book for business stuff. But he's just an ex-Navy SEAL officer. So I know he's going to be able to train all of us on how to kill the zombies, right? So he's got the training. Barack Obama, because everyone recognizes him, and to a certain degree, a lot of people respect him, right? So therefore, he would be good at getting allies, and he's really good at negotiation, and he's been the president of the United States, so he knows a lot of allies around. He probably knows inside classified details about about what led up to the zombie apocalypse, right? Before it actually happened. So definitely Barack Obama because of that end of things. And the Survivor Man guy, because I think he would help out, like, just in these unorthodox ways of doing things. So he and Jocko would be a great team. And I can't really contribute much, so I would just listen to whatever they tell me. Maybe I can work on some like electronics, because I'm a techie guy. So we'll see. But those would be the 3 other people I would have on my team, because I think it would just be, you have the most chances of survival that way.
I could tell you put a lot of thought into that.
It was like 2 minutes. It was like 2 minutes. So.
And it took you 5 to explain it. No, but that's perfect. But you see how that gives us an insight into your mindset? Like, I love that. That's what we're going for when we're networking. Okay, who didn't get to go? Is it Atul?
Yeah, I can go. Hi, Gelly. How nice to meet you.
Hi.
Yeah, I thought about it too, just like Josh, and I think I can take Iron Man with me. A swimmer like Michael Phelps, if we get surrounded, water has no escape because I don't know how to swim, and perhaps a doctor that can heal some damage we might incur along the way. So that would increase chance of my surviving. So as you can see, maybe have all areas covered, all bases covered, so to speak.
Yep. No, I love that. That's great. Okay, and I think Tim said he had to take a phone call. So Tim, I don't know if he may still be on the phone call. Okay, no worries. So for me, I would take a few characters from, Walking Dead, obviously. I don't know. I would take Rick, I would take Michonne, and I would take Daryl.
Yeah, Daryl for sure, 100%.
Right? Not gonna take Daryl. I'll take Daryls. I'll take 3 Daryls. Yeah. So that's those would be mine. So yeah. So there we go. So usually when I break up people up into rooms, I'm gonna give them the icebreaker, and the goal is to just kind of have a fun conversation before we get into business and talk about work, because I also find that a lot of times at networking events, people tend to hide behind their business and they forget to show their personality. But it's really your personality is going to get you the connections, and so you want to connect with people. So, okay, so now that we kind of got that out of the way, so let's now we're going to talk about what it is that all of you do professionally, and what are you networking for, or why are you interested in Entrepreneurship Week? So here's what I usually tell my crowd. I tell them, after you do the icebreaker, tell us what you do professionally, and then here's what you want to end with. And again, depending on what your goals with a networking event, usually with my people, they're looking for referrals. Okay, so I say to them, who would be a good referral for you? In this case, my question to you is maybe who do you need to meet that can help you, right? So I'm not 100% sure at what stage of the entrepreneurship or your business you're in, so we can kind of free flow with that. But start out by telling us what your business is or what project you're working on, and we'll take it from there. So who wants to go first?
Oh, God. All right, I'll go first. I can't believe no one wants to go first. So I do too many things to list here, but I have been, founded many companies, and several of them have been very successful and not. I've been a professor at ASU for a number of years and other universities. These days, I'm out and about doing more national entrepreneurship activities with the Kaufman Foundation. And I also write a lot about entrepreneurship. I have a couple of books. I've got one coming out by the end of the year. So my value is, and that book is on mentorship and entrepreneurs. So my value, what makes me more valuable, is to know people in entrepreneurship, whether you're successful, struggling or not, or to know what's going on. That's one of the reasons I'm here, aside from Global Entrepreneurship Week. So the more entrepreneurs I know, the more people who are in the ecosystem, whether you're running networking events or mentoring entrepreneurs or work for a university, the more I know about you and know what's going on, the better I do in what I do, which is just to write about entrepreneurship, analyze it, or research it. That help. And so I'd love to know you all. If you want to just shoot me your contact information or contact me later, I always answer emails, and I don't ghost anybody. So I'd love to, I'd love to know you all.
Thank you, CJ. And what was the name of your book that's coming out?
It's called thank you for asking. It's called The Startup Brain Trust. And it's for mentors and entrepreneurs. It's for both mentors and for entrepreneurs. And by the end of the year, hopefully December 31st deadline.
That's exciting. And but this is not your first book, or is this your third
book? Fourth, if you count the book I wrote when I was 17 on magic, actually, sleight of hand magic, but third entrepreneurship book.
Okay, well, that's very exciting. Congratulations. That's awesome. Okay, so let me ask this question first. Is there anybody on the call that heard something that CJ said and that you feel that you have a connection to? Like what does anyone have anything in common with CJ?
Me, I graduated from entrepreneurship in Mexico. I'm currently living over here. I travel back and forth to Arizona. I'm part of a community such as Hackers and Founders, Fuck Up Nights, and I know people here in the ecosystem of Mexico and some of them in the Tucson. So it will be nice to chat and see what we can do together.
I'll post my email for everybody and LinkedIn. And like I said, just connect with me or shoot me an email, and I always will start a dialogue.
Sure.
Awesome. Okay, that's great one. So okay, so here's kind of what I was also maybe sort of alluding to. So whenever somebody goes and they share part of their story, if you feel you have a commonality, you could piggyback on that. So for instance, Bella, just because I happen to know you and I know there's one small commonality maybe. So Bella has also authored a book. It's an easy one to jump on, because when you're a room full of strangers and you're looking for commonalities, that could be an easy topic to talk on, right? So I'm just kind of trying to connect some dots. Although, Bella's a master networker as well. I mean, that's actually how we met. We met networking through, a random person, but so just kind of pointing out that commonality. Okay, so, but Juan, did you tell us, I think did you say you're a student and you travel back and forth, or?
No, I graduated from entrepreneurship here in Mexico. I also traveled to Arizona to take some classes in the UFA.
Okay.
I'm currently a business consultant here in Mexico, but I also have another business that I want to start in Arizona.
Okay. And so you're on this, you're participating in, during events of this week because you're networking for, is there somebody you're looking to meet? Is there something specific you're looking for?
Yes, I would like to specifically get to know people who own or run a restaurant, because my current project is I am the distributor for frozen avocado pulp, which can last over 2 years in frozen conditions. It's a really great option for restaurants. It reduces the 35% the labor work, and also it's a great quality product. We have permits such as FDA, kosher certification, gluten-free certification. So basically, what I'm searching for is people who can connect me with people that own or manage some restaurants.
Okay. People that own or manage restaurants. Okay. So, so if you're looking, I'm just kind of thinking. So, and I don't necessarily know people that own or manage restaurants. It's not necessarily my market, but what I can also tell you is that if you wanted to attend more networking events to meet people like that in Phoenix, I host my networking events on Fridays at noon. You're welcome to join.
Sure.
It's a very similar virtual like this. You're welcome to join and, see if you can maybe meet some people there.
Yeah, thank you.
That might know. Yeah, for sure. And I'll put the information in the chat right now. And if anybody else is interested in attending that event as well, I'm putting it in the chat, the registration link. It's every Friday at 12 o'clock. So this Friday at 12 p.m. Arizona time.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. Well, thank you for being here. Okay, so then we would go to the next person. So Atul or Josh, one of you. Who wants to go?
Here, go ahead, Atul. Yeah, go. No.
All right. So what was the question? We're sharing about what we do, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the one thing common that CJ and I have is I like supporting entrepreneurs as well, being first time. Well, I shouldn't say first time, but kind of an entrepreneur in transition, if you will. I've had a couple of startups before, and this is my third startup that I'm working on. Pretty exciting. We are in a pretty exciting stage. So just managing all that, plus also doing my other job, so to speak, which is in healthcare space, medical devices. I work for a global company in a global role. So that's more of a leadership kind of opportunity or experience I'm getting there. But at the same time, as I mentioned, I'm kind of an entrepreneur in transition with the startup that I started. So yeah, that's kind of keeps me busy besides family.
Yeah. Okay. And CJ said a tool is also part of the GEW AZ team. Okay.
Yeah. So my goal is to basically, not just be an entrepreneur, but support other entrepreneurs too, through my skills, through my experience in leadership roles, and also the experience I'm getting on the court in fundraising, in expanding the business, technology development. My startup is a SaaS platform for wellness instructors to help them manage their business, give them tools, resources, and opportunity to be successful. So obviously that involves a lot of technology element, and being an engineer with engineering management experience, I can handle those things well.
Okay. And is that that startup, that's a local company?
Yeah, the Balance Dash with us, the email extension you could probably got from me when we were talking with the events and reminders that CJ and I were sending you guys. That's the domain.
Got it. Okay. I'm just curious. Yeah.
No. That's good.
Okay. Very cool. So is there, again, I don't, because everyone's is in a different stage. Sometimes the right question is more of like, I'm here to support people. So let me know if you have any questions, or if there's somebody or something you're looking for, and how can we help you?
Yeah, so I think at this time I'm looking for more people to join me on the journey, and then sometime it could look like coming in early stage startup, where obviously the expectations are way different than perhaps if you're a well-oiled, growth path startup. So obviously, if somebody's interested in joining startups, getting some experience, I'd be interested in talking to those people. Secondly, looking for corporate customers, because we have a corporate wellness program, so we want to get some of our programs sold to those. So any connections there would be helpful. So yeah, I mean, it's team customers. That's all I'm looking for at this time.
Okay. Got it. Wonderful. Okay, Josh.
Yeah. So could you remind me of the question? I want to make sure
Yeah. Well, what is it that you do? Like, what's your?
Yeah. Right. So, well, okay. So I'm a founder of a company called Intrum, and we're a subscription wearable business for personal trainers trying to scale their online business, such as during the pandemic, for example. Right. A lot of personal trainers have really been hit hard. So I'm a co-founder of that one. That's what I do on day to day. There's also a couple side hustles that I work on, such as helping set up an incubator for local startups as well in downtown Phoenix at the new Wexford building over at the Phoenix Biomedical Campus. I also handle a recruitment pipeline for basically an organization called MedTech Ventures. So those are the three that I'm doing just day to day. But my main focus right now from the networking event is honestly just to see, for example, does anyone here work out, have fitness part of their life, or, hire a personal trainer? Because that's generally what I'm looking for on that end, is usually talking to more personal trainers and individuals who have personal trainers. One of the biggest challenges for the pandemic is, how do you stay healthy? How do you stay fit? And specifically, how has that changed? So looking for more insights about that, anyone who's into fitness relatively, or has a trainer, would love talk to you just on a basis of like, hey, are we getting our product right? Does it serve your market? So that's one thing. The second thing on the startup is we just started investor acquisition. So I think towards the end of October. So we already have an angel already 50K in, and he's already hard. He just wants to invest. So we're looking for more investors to fill out the round. So if you know any local angels, we know Phoenix is very decentralized when it comes to our investor space. So it's always, who knows who on this end. So always looking for that as well. Yeah. So if any questions, let me know. Love to talk about that.
Okay, yeah, very cool. Yeah, so I can tell you, because of the pandemic and the whole gym situation, I gained 10 pounds, which I am not happy about.
I think everyone has gained 10 plus pounds in this pandemic.
Yeah, I'm not happy about it, and I used to work out at like, I work out. Working out is a part of my life. So I used to do F45 right before the pandemic and everything. So I stopped because I wanted to just run for a few months. So I did it for about 2 months. I just ran. I actually love running, just jogging, and then the pandemic hit. And so then they shut down all the gyms. And so then I couldn't really do anything. And then one of my friends had found a trainer who she had like a little gym inside of her garage. So if you can
Yes, the
imagine,
private gyms. Yes, yes,
yes,
100%. Those are
June,
the. Yep.
July, and August, we were working out in this crazy heat, like, but I didn't care. I was like, I just need to get my body moving. Like, this is the longest I haven't been able to like work
Yeah.
out. I was going crazy. It was insane. And so we were working out of the gym, and finally they opened up the gyms like in her little complex. So now we work out of the gym in her complex. And yeah, it's been kind of a nightmarish ordeal.
Oh yeah, no, I mean like so with the pandemic, like a lot more people are obviously getting sedentary, right? And that causes a lot of injuries, right? And that's probably and it speaks to at least my personal story, which is like part of the reason why we started the startup is because I was a former student athlete at ASU. I rode crew for them, same as my co-founder. But we both got injured because of poor personal trainers and guidance from them, right? And now I've like disc herniation at 24, right? What that means is like every time I sneeze, it hurts. Every time I laugh, it hurts actually. So trying to address this issue, especially during the pandemic where everyone's more sedentary, like I'm not sure if you guys follow football, but more NFL people have been injured too, athletes, right? That's partly because, when you stay sedentary for too long, your muscles just disappear, right? And your movement starts getting really wonky and like injuries just happen, right? So for us, it's like, if we can increase the productivity of trainers, enable them to train remote, right? Then it allows those trainers to basically, access people who were never been able to be accessible before. So yeah, 100%. So yeah, whereas health and fitness is huge. It's been definitely been hit with the pandemic, sort of the side effects of this entire thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing as well. We're offering online classes, we're offering in-person private sessions for yoga, meditation in that field, wellness, not necessarily in the fitness. So slightly different vertical, but that's what we have been doing as well.
Very cool. Yeah, no, you must have a challenge because like it's hard to get people even before the pandemic. I'm not sure you guys, if you look at gym statistics, people just don't like working out. It's just not. People just do not like working out. So like, one thing I learned, through this entire journey, right? People never work out because they're trying to be healthy, right? It's for some other reason. They want to look good for their boyfriend, or maybe their size 12 pants doesn't fit anymore. I don't know what it is, but or it's like maybe they're like bros are like ripping them for like not looking a little pudgy on when they get beers out on Saturday night, So it's like it's never about your health, which is interesting, right? It's always about some other thing that makes us like that speaks to us in different ways, right? So it's notoriously difficult to get people to working out, but if you can design the right environment, the right system, and the right access points, right, it becomes much easier, and being healthy should be a side effect of like a great product or service or whatever that is. Yeah, so that's awesome. You're in the same space, man. And I saw your message. I'll definitely connect with you, man. Always love to chat with people in the same space.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, and thank you for listening to my sob story. I've been telling everyone the same story of 10 pounds and how upset I am. I don't know.
But it's so crazy how easy it is. You can just let yourself go, right? Because the environment you're around.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't just that. I'm also a single mom, and I have an 8-year-old who was doing virtual school. So some moms were drinking wine, and we all just went a little crazy, and I just, I'm an emotional eater. Like that's how I stress eat, and then I couldn't work out, and then I had to manage my child and her 10 Zoom calls a day and my 10 Zoom calls a day. It was there was a lot of all sorts of stuff going on, but anyways, that's great. But thank you for sharing. Okay, so Bella, your turn to tell us about what you do professionally.
Yeah, what I do is I sit and I play on Facebook and Instagram and social media all day. Long story short, like Gelly kind of said, in 2002, I started my own pet sitting business as a way to get out of my parents' house in college. They wanted to put a curfew on me, and I wanted to go out karaokeing. I built that business and sold it in 2016 with 10 employees. We saturated North Scottsdale. We were locally and award winning. In 2007, I started coaching people on accident. Started getting so excited about it, about being everyone else's cheerleader. And I realized that I have a knack that's way bigger than me. I believe it's definitely a gift. I can see really big pictures and reverse engineer things. And I'm also from Boston, and I always tell people I lost the sugar a long time ago. So I'm very much in your face, but I am passionate in what I do, and I will cry with you, and I will laugh with you, and I will cheer you on, and it just gives me great joy. And then yeah, I built the coaching or the consulting company. I don't know. I think we have 15 people on our team now. I'm not really sure. And we have an agency side to us. I have a podcast. I've written a book. I speak around the country and maybe, well, to the UK, so I won't say world, a lot about Facebook groups and building your Facebook groups. Either you building your groups or leveraging other people's groups and partnering with them to do that as well. I'm very connected with Social Media Examiner, and I don't know. And I don't like to work a lot. I like to work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I stop by 2:00. I literally I don't take meetings unless it's a Tuesday or Thursday. I'm a single mom. I am looking for, this might not be the right place, but I'm among Skelly and I'm going to go for it. I love meeting other women entrepreneurs who are badass mamas, single mamas, who understand that, like, if I'm on my phone in front of them, I'm not ignoring them, and like it's not like a whole disrespect, and I'm not really Susie Homemaker Baker. I'm just like the apocalypse question. I'm like, well, who can I get to eradicate it and move on and finish life? You know, like I believe in having a team, and I don't think that we can build businesses or even be moms and dads to our kids without a community and a village around us. So I've been really fortunate this year. Personally, I made 2 really good connections with 2 boss mamas who also have kids, and we've become our own little pod, especially with COVID. So while the physical is definitely important, like you guys were talking about, my mental and just knowing that I've got some kick butt mamas in my corner. So if you guys know any ladies that fit that description, that would be my best thing. Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah,
there you go.
A quick nutshell. There's so much more to you. But yeah, I think, you know, what's really interesting about what you just said, Bella, I think it's you know, every entrepreneur, it's all about finding your community and your people, you know, because when you're
not the sum of your people.
Yeah, like you can't do it all by yourself, from all the different aspects, the mental, the physical, you know, you need a support team. And it's like, you know, not like Bella and I, like, we met way before we had kids, you know, but it's like, but there's yet this other piece of like, now we both do have children, and it's like, okay, and how do you find that balance? I mean, everyone talks about balance, but then you've got personality where I'm also not like Susie Homemaker, you know, so it's like I'm not going to connect with the moms that are. So it's like, oh good, I'm glad I have Bella to talk to about like these things that I would never talk to about with other people. So, but same for all of you. It's a matter of you know, that's what I'm saying. When you network, you find your people. And when you find your people and you build these authentic relationships, the business will always follow. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what I mean by most people have a misconception about networking. You know, they think it's all about just promoting or like finding, and they almost use networking opportunities as sales opportunities. Yeah. But networking opportunities are really meant to help you find your people, find your friends, find your community. And within that is where you'll find the relationships that can help you grow with the business and all the different directions we need to grow. So, you know, so I don't know. So CJ, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that, or, you know, where you might want to go from here.
I'm sorry, you were asking me if I had anything to add to the whole badass mom thing?
No, I just mean in general, you know, like, cause it's, I mean, it's a pretty small group, you know, so we, you know, I think we can all, I think everyone had a chance to put their information in the chat. You know, I don't know if anyone has any questions, if you wanted to add anything.
Well, the main thing I would want to get was that, gee, my gym has been open since October, number one. So that hasn't been a problem. And the other thing is that since a lot of people have really slacked off on working out, the gym is a wonderful experience because no one else is there. But that's also the great thing about I've actually been more productive this year than most. I'm used to working either at home or remotely anyway, but I live in way north Phoenix, like past Pinnacle Peak, Happy Valley, past, and so anytime there's events going on prior to COVID, it's a long drive for me, and especially when they schedule it during rush hour. And then if I have to go to two events and one of them are across town, so it's hard to be engaged when you're far away. But now that everything is virtual and remote, I've been far more engaged than I've been in years with what's going on in Phoenix and Arizona. So I found that very positive. Not to mention, I actually do have a little home gym with weights and everything that is right in front of my Zoom screen. So
nice, that's awesome.
So I have not, I don't have the attention span for a lot of these webinars and courses, but now that I can go there and participate without you seeing my video, I get my workouts done during a variety of webinars and calls, and it's pretty productive.
Nice. Do you have a trainer, CJ?
What? No.
Do you have a trainer? Like, do you have a trainer, or do you just like self-train yourself?
I've been working out and running for a long time, so I'm pretty disciplined in what I want to maintain, and how I want to be. So, once you get into a discipline, you tend to stay there until something knocks you out of it. The theory goes is that it takes 30 days to get into a habit, and 2 days to get knocked out of that habit, I think. But, and I just got back from a 1 week Mexico thing. And so I was struggling to go to the gym there, which they did have, because I knew that if I stopped, once I got back home, it would be hard to start up again. But, I don't want to say I'm struggling less. Writing it's a tremendous struggle. Most people don't appreciate how hard it is to string two sentences together, but let alone a book. But, I've started my ventures in my life and I've invested in a few. So I don't, if I ever had to do that again, my end goal would be the same life I have now. So which is I do it as I please. I write, I help people. And, starting companies or working that hard is not something I want to do anymore. So I agree with that in that way. I mean, I work hard in a different way, but the point is that you have to think about what your end goal is. If you've already had a level of, success in one way, or at least built something and know you can do it, and maybe do it again, then the rest of it might be more vanity, of wanting to be out there in social media or sit on panels and have people, chant your name as a leader. And if you don't need that, then, or if you've done a lot of that, I'm older than I look, so I've done a lot of those things in the past. So I'm quite, content with the kind of life I have now and keeping it that way. And so Zoom really helps that, by the way. These virtual meetings really help that, because I do need to stay engaged, and it's becoming more of a chore to get out and drive to different places and meet folks. So I know that was just like, Gelly, a case of too much information, but I'm having a grand old time during the pandemic. I've been tested 3 times, by the way. So no COVID going on here. I'm curious how everybody's handling Thanksgiving with COVID.
Oh, I'm going home. because I don't know. For me, it's like literally the pandemic really just hasn't changed my lifestyle, because we have a private office.
Amen.
Like, it really has not affected me. The only thing that's probably affected me now, I have to wear an extra piece of clothing, which is a mask, when I go shopping. That's pretty much it, But everything else about my life, it's been literally, 80 hours a week, at the office, which has not changed since the last year and a half. So it hasn't really changed that much. So I've been social distancing, obviously, because of that fact. I'm just gonna go home, see the parents. so the thing is that obviously I'm not trying to be disingenuous. It has obviously changed, affected a lot of people's lives. But for me specifically, it really hasn't affected me that much. So I've been relatively fortunate in that regard.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I mean, the pandemic is I don't want to say an entrepreneur dream. That sounds really bad. But it comes down to as an entrepreneur, you take calculated risks, right? So it's how much risk are you willing to take? And I think if there's one thing that the pandemic can like teach everyone is it's just more acceptance. Okay, if you want to stay in your home and not go out and wash your groceries and be there for 5 months, that's cool, but that's not what I want to do. In July, I flew the coop. I was like, I'm sick of not traveling, and I've been to Mexico twice and 3 other places. Like since I've been on 10 flights since July, and the planes have never been cleaner, according to me and my non-scientific based evidence. But I mean, just mask up, wash your hands, and like, come on, people. Like,
I don't know. It's like, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I'm sure you guys understand, you know, you talk to people, you just realize at the very fundamental level, like everyone just has a different risk appetite than you do.
yes.
Right? And they evaluate and see the world differently. So, and that's fundamentally can't be changed. And that's what causes a lot of, you know, all the, not to say problems, but effects that you see. And the pandemic is just another event that happens. You're just like, look at it, you're like, okay, cool. I'll you know, and just like go for it.
It's really amazing to see the people that are like, COVID's killing my business, or COVID's really messing things up, and the people that aren't. And I tell my clients, I'm like, one of the best interview questions you're ever going to have is, what did you do on lockdown? And you're really going to like find out a lot about somebody when you find out what happens.
That's a great question. That's
things
a
are
great
taken away from them. Yeah.
What if the answer is there was a lockdown?
No, and I get that, and a lot of entrepreneurs are like that, and like I'm fortunate enough that my I mean, Zoom, and like this is my war room, like my office is my place, you know, and I don't really have to leave. But
that's awesome. Actually,
I'm planning a Christmas gathering right now. I actually started a list. Kelly, you're on it. I'm trying to get a bunch of people over, like maybe the second Saturday of December, and a whole bunch of people. And I'm like, who can I invite? If you can come. If you can't. Like, what are we gonna do? I'm gonna stop.
No,
you all know how I feel.
COVID, I think, you know, for me, it's been so nice. It's been so nice for me. Like there's like personal side and there's business side. Personally, like me being just a big part of the community, I get invited to a lot of things, and they're obligatory things. They're not things I want to attend. Like, I like to go to the gym. I like to hang out with my daughter. I like to hang out with my friends. But like, when you get like so many invites to all these events, and then people want to have happy hour with you. Everybody wants to meet up. It's like, after I've been doing it for 12 years, it's too much. And guess what? Nobody's inviting me anywhere during COVID. I'm like, this is amazing. Like, I had opportunity to be bored. You know, it got to the point where I'm like, oh my God, nobody's
really, because that's not what you've been telling me every time I say you want to hang out.
Not the last few times. That's not true. I'm trying to invite you for dinner, but you're in Mexico constantly. So
sorry.
Yeah,
maybe I should go visit Juan next time.
Yeah.
I'll give you a little perspective, though. My wife works for Mayo Clinic. She's a cardiologist and a professor there. And what's interesting is that, well, we discovered there's people fall into 2 stark groups. One is, it sounds like us, which is, okay, yeah, we have to wear a mask, but largely it didn't impact much else. You know, maybe a few places were closed. And then there are the other people who are so, what's worse than scared? They are just terrified.
Paranoid. That's definitely.
It's hard to keep in perspective, like at Mayo Clinic. My wife has to every so often help out with COVID, or she sees people. But the interesting part is that there are more people dying and sick of other things now. For instance, like I said, she's in cardiology, and since they shut down elective procedures or visits, people are neglecting other areas of their health or delaying them. And the death rate for those things like diabetes, heart disease, and others are going way through the roof because the hospitals are focusing on COVID, which nationally, you want to discount 250,000 deaths, but you also have to look at the 1 million or 2 million deaths that are happening from all this other stuff, because people are either, or can't get to the hospital, or when they do, like I actually had to go to the hospital for a week because I caught E. coli of all things, which is unrelated to anything else. But it got very bad because I couldn't get into the hospital because I had to be tested for COVID first. and wait 3 days or 2 or 3 days before going into the hospital, in which time my unCOVID related stuff got worse. And that's not an anomaly. Happened to a lot. But my point is that there are folks like us, and I don't know if it's because we're in Arizona, because I'm in a lot of networking groups with professionals in New York and California, and my God, they're really the terrified ones, New York and California. And I don't know if it's because of the number of cases or just the culture there versus here. But here we're just basically, hey, I got to wear a mask, and okay, and, actually, I think a lot of us think the restaurants are a little more pleasant now than they were before, because it's you get to have you don't have to be next to 3 tables of loud people. Anyway, just a little color commentary there.
Yeah. No, that's all very true. Yeah, I think it's interesting, like you said, just the entrepreneurial mentality is, I think, what we're really talking about. It's just very different. It's very different. So I get it. All right. And so Bella said, she said, dinner just arrived. I got to run. Nice to meet you all. So she signed off.
Yeah.
Well, I think this was awesome. Thank you to everyone that joined. I mean, it's just just like a fun networking conversation. Got to know each other a little bit better. I emailed everybody, so all of you should have my contact information. If anyone has any questions, I know a lot of information was exchanged in the chat, so I think you guys probably know, but if you click on the 3 dots below, you can save the chat. I am recording this as well. So, CJ, if you need the recording, just let me know.
Yeah, we're gonna post recordings. This one was unusual because it wasn't like a presentation, but I think it's worth posting anyway, because I think for future global entrepreneurship weeks, I don't think anybody's really done something like this, and I think next year we'll really put a lot more marketing and publicity behind it, because I think it's great for Arizona to have people just do an informal networking session like this amongst entrepreneurs and small business folks.
Yeah, no, this has been awesome. So I was gonna actually ask you, Gilly. So this is our first virtual networking event. Before obviously pre-pandemic, because like running around everywhere, right? So I'm wondering, do you know of anywhere I can find more of these events? Because like I have like time, after like 4, so I just hop in, just put it on, drink some whiskey, right, and just like chill out, just chat about life and stuff. This is always nice.
But here's something interesting: is that Gelly, when you're obviously a real pro at this, and when you set the tone of no sales, or you have rules for it, I think a lot of other virtual networking events can learn from that, because there is one from the Arizona Tech Council that they do once a month. I believe it's once a month. It might be more than that. And there's a lot of people on there. They're mainly tech people, and they work for companies or so. But what I found and they have a robust number of rooms, and it's well organized. But I find it very what's the word? I don't know, too sales oriented. Or
yeah, I mean, like I've also been on some, like at least pre-pandemic, a lot of like network events has been very much like solicitations, which I'm not necessarily, and I don't want to solicitate either. I'm literally looking for like, yo, who's out here, right? Like who's doing cool stuff, like, and if we vibe, if we like each other, then let's talk about if we can build something awesome. But most time it's been solicitations, so like I tend to avoid those events.
I fear that I have no money and I can't buy anything, and that pretty much people don't play on me. I don't do anything. I have no money and I don't buy anything. But I personally have a fascination. I was trained as an engineer as well. And so, I got out of that, but I still had that mentality that sales is the opposite of engineering. But over time, I got more into the human aspect. So I'm fascinated with watching salespeople, watching people try to sell, especially the good ones. So that's one of the reasons I like going to the other kinds of networking events.
Right. Just people watching.
Yeah, even though I find it a little bit too overt for my taste.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, and that's the thing. Remember how I was saying most people don't understand what networking is. They turn networking opportunities into sales or lead generating opportunities. And that's the unfortunate truth. So that's why I was kind of trying to like a lot of what I was talking about here is it's about creating that human connection, right? So now that, like, if you guys know that, you can lead in with that. You can flip any sales pitch to more like, let's say somebody does approach you and they start pitching on whatever. It's like, oh, okay, well, but wait, so how did you find out about this event? What brought you here? Right? Just
Right,
ask
right.
them, throw them off their social script. Just ask them a completely random question about something else. And, one of my favorites to ask people is, what's your story?
Question for you, as an expert in this. You've been at it for a while. What is your take on people when they contact you via LinkedIn? You don't know who they are, but they want to connect right away.
Yeah, that's the whole thing on LinkedIn. You'll notice, and you've probably noticed a lot more spammy things on LinkedIn because everybody's on LinkedIn right now. So just so you know, most of those are coming from bots.
Oh, no. I mean, people, real people. No, I mean, what's your opinion on, let's say, somebody for real, but either, like, I'll give you an example. I was on one of these Arizona networking calls. Now, they may have seen me on video like they see you, but the first thing they do is they send you a LinkedIn connection, like saw you at this event, but you never talked or anything. So as kind of an expert in these things, what is your opinion on connecting with them?
Me personally, I'll connect with anybody. If there's no reason for me not to, especially if they tell me a note, oh, I saw you at this event or this or that. Like that's a real person. They're showing interest. I'm in the networking business, right? There's no reason for me not to connect with people. It might be different for you because, but then I don't know, because if you're looking to sell your book, right, and you're like, why would you not connect with people that find you interesting? LinkedIn started out as a network where they didn't want you connecting with people unless you knew them, but it's definitely evolved into something else now.
Okay.
So for me, I connect with people. The ones that I don't like are when people buy like a third party, they use a third party service to just message a whole bunch of people at once. And it's like, they're not like, it's not a real message. It's not a real, but here's the question. Do I connect with them? I'll still connect with them. You know why? Because guess what? They go into my email list, and then I promote my stuff. Because just because they have bad marketing etiquette doesn't mean they're not going to buy my stuff, because I've got a better funnel than they do.
I like that answer.
Yeah.
So I'm not
that answer a lot.
People. I mean, most people don't know how marketing works. So CJ, if you're asking, does it upset me? No. Does it? None of that. Like, because I understand their game, and they just don't know how to play it. But I know how to play the game.
Well, you're right. My mindset is with the original intent of LinkedIn. And so my fear is somewhat, is that I get somebody who I connected with casually, and I usually I'll only connect with somebody if we have 2 or 3 degrees between us, but that later they will ask me for an introduction or, someone from my Rolodex that I don't know them, and I don't feel comfortable doing that because my contacts have been built up over the years, and I don't want to squander that by an introduction to somebody I haven't met. But that's my imagined fear more and more these days. I don't think that's happened in a few years, but when I look at my LinkedIn list, there was a number of people, I have no idea who they are, because maybe I connected with them 6 or 7 years ago, right. I had been on a call with them and then connected with them. So I was just curious about, what the current etiquette is. I hadn't thought about turning it around and saying, you're on my list now, which
exactly.
I think is great.
They are, and you've got books to sell. So why wouldn't you? And if they're following you, and that places you as an authority, because when you post content, they get to see your content. So it's like they're and if somebody does ask you for a connection and you don't know them, I mean, you just politely say, listen, I would love to help you out, but we don't have enough interaction for me to be able to vouch for you. And I've had to say that a number of times. I also find that most people don't know how LinkedIn works, and they don't even know to ask that. Right. So again, it's like, I understand the angle you're coming from, and you're more than welcome to, like, there's no rule that says you have to connect with people you don't want to connect with. It all comes down to how do you use LinkedIn and what do you want to do with it. To me, it's a marketing tool. So like I said, of course I'll connect with people I don't know. It doesn't, it's not, now I'll give you, I mean, there's so many great examples of where I've, there's a good friend of mine, a real life example, a very good friend of mine that's looking at job opportunities. And one of them is this with one company, with this one particular CEO. And I looked at his name and I was like, I wonder if I know this guy. And I put him on my LinkedIn, and guess what? We're connected. Not only are we connected, but we've exchanged a few messages a few years ago. Do I remember? Of course not. But I have a trail of messages. And the great thing about LinkedIn is it saves it. So now if I want to message this guy, I can message him and be like, hey, Joe, we haven't talked in a few years, and if he doesn't remember me, he'll just go back and look at our past messages. Like I said, but hey, one of my friends is interested in this job position and I could vouch for him, right? So it works in that sense where sometimes we have conversations with people and we forget, right? You can't remember everyone you've had a conversation with, but the great thing about LinkedIn is it saves things in the message. So, and this is a legit, he's legit, like he's a great contact. I have no idea. He reached out to me. I have no idea why. Does it matter to me? No, because look now, 2 years from the time he connected to me, he's coming into handy for me, for my friend. Right. But that's how LinkedIn is supposed to work. It's supposed to be this massive connection tool for your network. Now, CJ, you may not want to use it like that. Again, I am a networker. Like this is what I do for people. I have a different strategy.
You've done something that folks may have said is impossible. I think you've changed my mind on this.
Oh wow. Okay.
I don't change my mind that often.
Recorded that.
Well, again, I'm coming from knowing the original LinkedIn and being more of an engineering type rather than a sales type. And so, but no, I think I've gotten a different perspective on this, because the folks that I'm most afraid of, I think typically email me or contact me through InMail anyway. And luckily, LinkedIn makes it clear that they've done that versus someone who just has a networking request. So, okay, I'm there. I just wanted to know, because my fear has been somebody will use or go through me to get to a contact. I mean, I know some pretty well-known people out there. And like, for instance, I happen to know Mark Cuban, and I interviewed him for my next book, but I don't want somebody, using my name to connect to Mark Cuban
How could they? They wouldn't be able to do that.
Or even bugging me to do it, because it really is.
It's Mark Cuban. They have no business asking you to connect you.
I'm just giving one example, but it could be like, let's say somebody wants to. I knew the former CTO at AOL. I don't know why I'm bringing that up, but he's a very well-known guy to a lot of folks and could make or break. But I don't want to, send him folks like that unless it's really, really worth his time, because he knows people that are more worth his time, like Mark Zuckerberg, for instance. So, but you know what? I don't think that's more of a fear than it used to be with LinkedIn. So you've turned me around on this. So
yeah, no, again, and I'm just sharing my perspective, because here's the other thing is, you obviously wouldn't send anybody to these people unless you felt that they actually should have a conversation with them. Like, you're just not going to. So if you do actually, if somebody does come to you and says, hey, CJ, I know, like, I'm trying to get to a very high level person, and like, I see you're connected, and they make that case to you and you think it's a good idea, and you do connect them and it does end up being a good thing, because you're the gatekeeper, right? So I'm the gatekeeper for my network. And so a lot of times when people ask me to make a connection, I won't do it, because I'm like, I don't think this is a good connection. But there are times when I do make the connection and it's in everyone's benefit. Right. So I take the time to look at it, but I'm sorry.
No, you turn me around, Don. I think there's only a few people who these days will do it wrong. And I really don't want to say to somebody or try to spend time delicately replying to them saying, you're not ready, or, I don't know you, but I don't think I've had to do that recently. The folks that have implied they wanted those introductions, it's been pretty blatant and obvious that I won't do it. So it hasn't been that hard recently, but I do get a lot of these unsolicited connection requests, and I'm still always conflicted. I think mainly my problem these days is a month or two from now, I'm not going to remember who they are when they show up someplace, and in a way that bothers me. But I think you're right. LinkedIn is broader than that these days.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
certainly hadn't thought about it when I have something to sell. So you got me thinking about that now when I haven't thought about that before.
Yeah, well, good. I'm happy to give a different perspective, you know, because I'm all about marketing and building out those funnels. And to me, that's, you know, I never upset at people because their marketing sucks, and most people don't know how to do marketing. That's why they sound spammy and this and that. I've had people literally call me on the phone trying to sell me something, and I'm like, "Oh, are you local?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "You know, I have this event coming up, and we're gonna have 1,500 people there. Would you be interested in buying a table?" You know, like I literally flip the script, and I'm like, if you like, to me, if you come into my space, get ready to get on my agenda. You know, so listen to what all of you said. Oh, I go to these events and there's sales pitches and this. Wonderful. Let people show you how bad they are at marketing, and then you flip the agenda and you get what you need to get done, right? Because for me, somebody pitches me, oh, wonderful, they pitched me on their insurance. Yay, I don't need insurance. But hey, you know what? I run networking events. Would you like to come pitch your network insurance stuff at my networking events? It's $20, but you get them from right?
Huh.
That's my whole thing. Just flip the script. It's just put them in your.
That's so awesome.
Do you have a networking event about this, like in your portfolio? Do you put on a networking event to help people with this very conversation? Because if it's spun the right way, you can get a lot of new people like me to go there.
Yeah, you 100%. If you told me like, yo, this is how you turn solicitors around, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah,
100%.
Well, if you, you know, the marketing of an event like this, you get a lot of good people going there if you can spin not spin, but phrase the marketing in such a way that I realize that I have something to learn. That was just tough for people like me. But if you do it that way, saying LinkedIn is not what it used to be, or not what you thought it was, and here's how to, you know, here's a networking event where we're going to teach you, or we're going to discuss. I would certainly attend something like that. Again, particularly if the marketing made me realize that, you know, I'm behind the times, or I'm looking at it wrong, and I have something to gain from it. Which is right now, I got 2 or 3 really valuable things just from the last 5 minutes on this.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Well, thank you. Well, I'll tell you what I do have, CJ. I have something called an 8-week networking certification program, and that's what I've been running on Zoom for the last 2 years. And I think a lot of it is really, you know, it's difficult to pick it, because even if I picked that topic and marketed, if you didn't think it applied to you, you would have never signed up. Okay, but here's what happens. Because people, I'm in the networking business. Okay, once they get to know me, like me, and trust me, I convert them in, well, you know, I get them into my 8-week, right? I mean, it's, there's different price points. And when we go through the 8-week, I teach those courses live. So there's a lot of conversation like this. And I have, of course, different topics that I feel are very relevant to today's marketplace for entrepreneurs. And people learn exactly like we just did in this organic, it's a conversation about a topic, right? And so yes, I have so much content out there, but the thing is, who has time to go search through content, right? It's the best, like what I found in this marketplace in where we are in 2020, it's FaceTime that's important. It's FaceTime, Zoom time, whatever. It's having conversations that's what gets people to move. You know, I find, you know, even if people buy webinars and things, a lot of people don't actually watch them because there's no commitment. Like, it's easy to buy something, but just because you bought something doesn't mean you're gonna participate in it. So that's, again, like, and my services that I offer change from year to year based on the market, where the market is. And right now, what people need is they need somebody they trust, because there's so much crap out there, you know, and people buy into it and they get nothing out of it. So for me, it's get them into my network, get them into my events, get them to know me, and then get them to buy into my the 8-week course. And then I run a private mastermind where, again, it's all these marketing topics for entrepreneurs. And a lot of the questions are exactly what you're asking me, right? It's like, how do I run my LinkedIn? What do I do? Do I not? Like, so much revolves around LinkedIn these days, because in this virtual space that we're all in, LinkedIn is king right now. LinkedIn is acting right now the way Facebook did 5 and 6 years ago. There are only 2 platforms right now where you can get massive traffic, massive eyeballs to your product. It's LinkedIn and it's TikTok. LinkedIn and TikTok. Yep. Nobody, like Facebook, like, ugh, everyone's over Facebook. Nobody, unless they're in groups, no one's even on Facebook.
Explain TikTok to me in this context. No, I know what TikTok is,
Right.
but explain in a business context. TikTok is more valuable than Facebook and
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
somebody, please.
TikTok's awesome. It's like Snapchat was a couple of years ago. But Snapchat didn't hop on that opportunity, and TikTok just took over. Yeah, most of our fitness customers are on TikTok now. Everyone's on influencers, all the marketers. Yeah, 100%.
Somebody older than this bunch. My first reaction, and folks in my, I don't know, level of whatever you want to call it, is, what am I, 5? TikTok? No. That's my first reaction.
I mean, well, it depends on your market segment, right? If your market segment is on TikTok, then you better be on TikTok.
So what market segment is on TikTok?
Everyone's on TikTok. Everyone's on TikTok. CJ, don't know. I'm seeing, like, it started out as for the kids, but during the pandemic, if you ask people, you know, Bella, when she has said that question, what did you during lockdown? 95% of people will tell you they got addicted to TikTok.
Now, is that sector leaving Instagram for TikTok?
I don't know if people are leaving Instagram because Instagram just introduced Reels, which is now a competitor to TikTok. TikTok got so big that Instagram is actually now having to compete with them. So their latest product is called Reels.
I'm going to say something I didn't think I'd be saying. All right, I'm going to have to go check out TikTok then.
Yeah.
Well, the other reason is that it's not just a reputation, but I think about every year and a half, there's some service that has come out, mobile service with video on it, and they come and they go. And, you know, I don't want to invest any emotion in something, but I guess TikTok is here to stay. But if you remember Vine and you remember a lot of these other services that were out there that looked like it was the next big thing, you know, and that's the issue, is investing you know, time and energy. And then it turned, like, even when Google came out with, what was it, Google Plus, you know, that looked like it was, or even today with Google Meet, you know, and you don't know whether or not to invest time and energy in that versus something brand new.
Okay, well, here's the thing. Number one, that's why I have my own software. So yes, I agree with you. And you know, my software is going to be licensable. But the cool thing about my software, it's never going to go away, right? You get to build an entire community with it, and that's my revenue. I mean, that's my recurring revenue, and it's my software. I own it. So number one, I agree with you. Number two, you can use these platforms to build up traffic. The key is, here's where a lot of these people, these influencers, whatever, here's where they miss the business opportunity. You need to get them to opt into something to get their email address. The money is in the email address. That's great, like, you know, because you can, I got an email a few hours ago from a woman. I'm going to read it to you. Okay, I'm going to read you this email because a few hours ago, she said, Gelly, my Facebook personal and business account was disabled without any warning or explanation. I tried to submit for an appeal, but just get the bot saying this decision is not reversible. I don't know what post violated community standards. I have posted things here and there about the truth behind COVID. Do you know anyone that can help me? Years worth of posts of my business page that give me my work credibility, gone. The new private group on intuitive development that I just started, gone. Gone in an instant. So what happens with the, was that?
Are you making a case that that's why that we should move to TikTok? Yeah, TikTok.
No, what I'm making a case is that your social media accounts can disappear at any moment. It doesn't matter if it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Meetup. I don't care. Where a lot of these entrepreneurs miss the point, they have this great following, but they don't grab their email addresses. The money is always in the email addresses.
Now, I've been told, or I've been reading more and more with disbelief, that email is so last century and no one uses it anymore. But you've been mentioning email once a minute for the entire time here. So I'm confused. I mean, I use email all the time, but I've been teaching, at universities since 2000. Well, I won't tell you what, but and even and all those students, will not respond to emails. Since 2007, 2006, will not respond to emails. If I send out a syllabus or an assignment or a change, they'll say I didn't get it unless I send it to text or some other way, or create something special. Now I've heard that, seen it with very freshmen and younger people, but yet just like you, well, everything of substance happens through email, and as far as I'm concerned, but everywhere I read, email is like so old hat that you should almost ignore it.
Okay, so I think it depends on what demographic you're dealing with, right? So I'm not dealing with the younger demographics. Everybody in my demographic, they still read their email. I think the younger demographic, if they're talking about text, so yes, a lot of things are moving to text, but text hasn't taken over email yet. I think your students not reading their email is just them being lazy. But
I was gonna jump in on that. So it's actually like Gilly was saying, depends on your customer segment. But I would not believe any media outlet and just look at your analytics. So because we embed like tracking, which funnel gets clicked where and which one actually works out. Email has been consistently the one we get the most engagement from, regardless of anything, right? At the end of the day, and we can get the most sales from that specifically, right? So I would look at your analytics to see what your actual customer segments if it's actually useful or not. We just know that email is extremely reliable, and like Gilly mentioned, the platform can take your business away. So you need to find some way to own it.
Google can also disable your Gmail if that's what you're using, or any platform. Yeah.
Actually, no. Well, if you have your own domain, right, and that domain is hosting your own server.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Right. So you wouldn't necessarily have to have that. Yeah, you can just you back up your server and switch it over, and you still retain all the comments you have.
Well, I hate to break it to most of you here, though, those freshmen and students that I was referring to who first started telling me that they ignore email or they don't use email anymore, they're over 30 now. So this is not, the kids these days are not using email. All right. It's been happening for a long time. And yes, they are over 30 now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think most of them they're going to be using social media to consume a lot of their information. What I was more referring to is, as a business owner, even if I am using Instagram to grow my audience, which I am not, by the way, personally, I don't use it. My Instagram is my personal scrapbook, but I just, use it the way it was intended to be used. But if I were growing my audience on Instagram, I would still get them all to opt in somewhere, somehow, to get their email addresses, because should my Instagram go away and get hacked and disappear, whatever, I can at least email people. Will everybody open their email? No, but I guess majority of them would. And I know 30-year-olds that plenty read their email. So I don't know. Like, maybe it was, for me, email is still, like, that's how I make my money. That's my revenue. Email still works. So I can't, there's nothing I can, and I don't use texting. Which I think, texting is probably going to become more relevant, maybe in the next 5 to 8 years, because, especially for events. Again, right now, my demographic tends to be it's usually older people that network. People in their 20s aren't really networking, so I'm not, so like my demographic, I don't know if they want to receive a text. I think they like email because they like to open it 100 times and, go back to the links and click. Right. So my user experience for them needs to be a little bit different.
I'm going to have to do a little bit more research on this, but luckily I have access to those people. The funny part is that I really haven't asked that much, because it always seemed to be like an anomaly, but it's actually becoming more the norm. I just don't understand how they manage. I get, I do text messaging all the time as well as anyone else, but I don't manage the communications coming in that way, because, it's not like email boxes, or where I can truly go through a thread with somebody or multiple people. It's so unwieldy. And yeah, maybe somebody can one day improve it, but that means that's another client I have to use. And at what point does text messaging get so close to email that you might as well use email.
Really quick, sorry guys, I have to get going. It was awesome
Yeah.
meeting everyone here. Thanks for holding the event, Kelly. Good to meet everyone. But otherwise, my contact information is down in the chat. Feel free to contact me. Always happy to chat. Otherwise, have a good night, you guys.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thanks, Josh.
Right.
Jen.
Take it
Nice.
easy, guys. Mhm.
All right. Yep. And I'm gonna have to get going here pretty soon. But yeah. But this was great. Great discussion, CJ. You know, if you have any more of these questions, you know, like, let me know. We can definitely chat and
I
brainstorm.
think you should be hosting something like this for the larger entrepreneurial community. Maybe even if it's just as an intake for your regular networking that you do. I get them all the time, but they're not specifically targeted at my interests like entrepreneurship. And maybe every once a month, maybe something for the entrepreneurial community, particularly if they can be enlightened about that there's something to learn here rather than just networking. Because the networking part, I think, is, I won't say scares some people, but it's like, oh God, business cards flying, and and the first thing that happens in networking events these days is people complain about how they don't have a business anymore because of COVID, and everybody's like that, and the other half of the people maybe don't want to hear it. So what my point is that if there's something new to learn, in there, that's really interesting to a lot of folks, particularly since a lot of them are, I don't want to say engineers, but non-salespeople, specialists, and in these days, the big opportunity, by the way, is because of Zoom, all bets are off with what we used to know about networking, and number two is that folks who would not be caught dead in networking rooms have no choice nowadays, and they're ill prepared for it. So it might be an interesting opportunity. And if you want to talk about it more, maybe I can connect it with somebody that like the Commerce Authority, if you know those folks. If done the right way, you can get a whole new audience.
Yeah, no, and I think that would be great. I think one of the things I want to do when we do launch the new software as well, because I know the startup entrepreneurial community has always wanted to have their own calendar also with events, and I know they tried to start it a few times. I don't know if it still runs, but I also know how much hard work it is, and I already have the system, and I already have a tag for entrepreneurial event. You know what I mean? The startup ecosystem. So it would just be a matter of getting them to submit there, so people go on there, click on their little filter, and boom, it just shows you all the entrepreneurial events from the ecosystem. So
chat about it one day, because this is sort of what I do, is talk to or help entrepreneurs with it. I think you might be closer to the engineering mindset than you may want to admit, but the fact that the product works and that it's better is maybe 20% of the story. And just like we were talking about TikTok versus Instagram and the others, there's the issue of inertia. People are already using things, or there's so many solutions you don't want to invest time and energy in any new one for fear that that's not going to be the one that's going to be the standard. And those are the things to get over, not the functionality. People will overlook a lot about the functionality, if they think it's worth investing their time in. But anyways, another conversation. But
yeah, no, for sure. I just know it was like, I think they had a hard time finding somebody to manage it, like managing all the events. Is like, it was because it was a volunteer position, so that's like, I think, anyways. But my point is like that. So yeah, that community, I'm a part of it, but I'm not like like I wouldn't. It's almost like how would I host an event for them? I don't know, right? Like somebody would have to set it up because I don't have their email. Like how would I invite people to come to this educational thing?
I think you have less of a problem with that than most, because you already do this stuff.
Well, I have my list, right? I have my list, and so I already do all this for my people.
I mean, this is the first time I've ever been on, aside from our initial Zoom call, this is the first time I've ever been in any event that you organized. Yet, I get your emails all the time, okay? Right. And that's probably like a lot of people. I get them all the time, and it's I have a different, I don't know, I can't speak for anybody else. It's my issue with a lot of events is they don't give me enough notice to put it on my calendar. It's like event tonight. And I'm like, all right, what are you, tonight, today? I need a week's notice, to put anything on my calendar. So that's usually my issue, number one. And number two, it's, the subject line grabbing me with something that's truly relevant to what I do. But I suspect a lot of folks in my demographic with entrepreneurial community and a certain level of experience, and I want to say that, level in their career where they don't want to go to a lot of these things, have to be grabbed the right way. But I think you have far more of an advantage than anyone else, at least in the Arizona community. And it may or may not be the event sweet spot, may not be the right use for what you've got, but it's a start. You may stumble upon something else that the community needs. But I think I already gave you this feedback before, is that I'm involved not only here, but nationally, and there is a tremendous need for different aspects of, I don't even know what to call the category, it may be a new category, of managing communities. And everyone, like I said, I'm involved with several committees at the national level. I don't like the word committee, but there's constantly companies coming to pitch and with overly complex solutions, number one. But the other thing is that no one's adopting anything, but there is a tremendous need for it out there. And there's a lot of fragmented homegrown solutions, like you see in Phoenix as well, that they work in little bits here and there, but there's nothing stitched together, and it ends up being too fragmented. And so there's clearly an opportunity and a need. And I think 20% of the problem is coming up with the right technical solution. Only 20% of the problem. The 80% is positioning, getting the right people to adopt it in the right way. And half the time, it's, what's the word I'm looking for, just so random of what grabs people, like Zoom. It was random that, they were around and then COVID hit, right? It was random that, they came around and there was this overly complex software by Microsoft, Cisco, and the others, and Zoom just did it. And, you can't really predict that, but you can maybe be ready for it.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. No, go on.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right. Well, let's continue the conversation, offline. Once the site, if we don't talk before, which I'm sure we can and will, but, when my site is up, the new one, I definitely want to run it by you, because I want, again, I think, my SaaS solution part of it, taking, the networking out of it, it's a great community building platform, which does not rely on Instagram or any of these other things, to build itself. So
I'd love to hear more about it, because I think there's a big opportunity for it. I'd love to see you be the one to be successful at it. But there is a need in many communities, again, for lack of a better word, communities for it. And I would have to give it deep thought, which is, I'm sure, something you do 24/7 about it, about, maybe the right way to, or right ways to approach the implementation. Because I don't think it's the product of the technology that is the hard part, even though I'm sure that's what you're obsessed with. But it's
how to grow it.
What was that?
But yeah, no, but it's also like, how do I grow it, and how do I, there's a few more things, there's a few more phases I'm going to have to go through before I'm at the scaling piece of it. I've got to show.
Yeah, but that's one of the bigger, is thinking about this sooner than later, which is that you, well, I'm going to say unlike, but you are clearly in the bullseye of social networking software. Whether you call it that or not, it's clearly because you're dependent on a critical mass of people using it and being engaged with it. And that is, double-edged sword, right? If you do it right, it is, you can be the next Facebook or whatever. It's very lucrative, et cetera. But there is the chicken or the egg critical mass problem that has to be solved. Mm-hmm. And I'm maintaining 20 to 30% of that is functional, and the rest of it is a combination of luck, of your initial onboarding strategy, positioning, and in fact, the more functionality that you have before you get those other problems solved, the more work you put in, the more risk you build into it, right? And but the good news is that this is an untapped, well, a barely tapped market out there, and that is, sorely needed. I'm telling you that from somebody who's been engaged with potential big communities that need this. And the solutions that have been proposed have been hugely complex and a huge burden on folks, and they've given no thought to organic onboarding at all. They've been focused on a monolithic product, like it would be like Microsoft coming out with another Facebook. It would be monolithic. It would be all controlling, and that's what a lot of them are trying to do, rather than Zoom approach. Come up with something simple that does one thing, right, and make it easy for folks, and get lucky with an onboarding opportunity. Anyway, I've talked too much for now, and that's because my wine is really caffeine. But thank you for arranging this, and Juan, I hope you're still there.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if you were asleep or not.
No, I'm hearing.
By the way, Juan, have you heard of Quick? I think it's Quick, right?
Me? Or?
KWIK?
Okay.
You were mentioning something. I was writing down something else, but you were mentioning about the restaurant space.
Yes.
And so there is a company that was fairly popular in the past year in Arizona. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to tell you this in context.
Yeah, no worries.
Funded by the Arizona Commerce Authority through the Innovation Challenge. And if you're not familiar with the Innovation Challenge, you should be, as somebody doing something new. That happens every spring and every fall, and we give away $3 million. Well, give is being generous to say, you have to earn it, but amongst about a dozen companies every half year, and then we help them. This year has been very interesting because of COVID, but anyway, KWIK was a really successful company doing in the restaurant space, providing human resources, and meant to expand to other things. This half year, for the last 2 quarters, they've been really interesting to a lot of folks in Arizona, because apparently they're pivoting fairly successfully, given that there's no restaurants or bars really open. And in fact, I didn't get to attend it, but the CEO was on a competing webinar with this one talking about that. But anyway, you might want to look them up, whether it's as a partner or just as something else. I'm sorry, did I say K? QWIK. And because I don't know exactly where they're at, what they're doing, but they're one of our more successful Arizona ventures in the past 2 years in that space.
Sure, I'm gonna look it up, and thank you for this contact.
Okay, so Kelly, thank you so much for arranging all of this. I hesitate to say this may have been far more interesting with fewer people.
Yeah, no, that's actually a lot of times that's how it works out, because we get to have more intimate conversations. So absolutely.
Anyway, it's my turn to cook dinner today, so I've got to hop off because I have no idea what I'm going to do.
Sounds good. All right. Well, it was great to connect, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.